What if everything you loved was taken away? Your home, your family, your freedom, even your name. Would you still find a reason to keep living? Or would hope disappear, along with everything else? A man named Viktor Frankl faced that impossible reality in one of history's darkest places. When everything else was stripped away, he discovered that one freedom still remained: the freedom to choose his response. That discovery would inspire millions and forever change the way the world understands hope, purpose, and resilience. This is the extraordinary story of man's search for meaning. Long before the world came to know his name, Viktor Frankl was a respected psychiatrist living in Vienna, Austria. At just 37 years old, he had already dedicated his life to understanding one of humanity's greatest mysteries. What gives life meaning? While many doctors focused only on treating the body, Frankl believed that healing the mind required something deeper. He saw that people could survive incredible hardship if they had a reason to keep moving forward. Day after day, patients entered his office carrying anxiety, grief, and despair. Rather than asking only what was wrong with them, Frankl asked a different question: what are you living for? He believed that every human life possessed a unique purpose, and that even suffering could hold meaning if it pointed us towards something greater. But outside the walls of his quiet office, Europe was changing. The Second World War had begun. The Nazi regime tightened its grip across the continent. And for Jewish families like Viktor Frankl's, the future became more uncertain with each passing day. Soon, the life he had built, his career, his home, and everything he believed was secure, would be put to the ultimate test. In 1942, everything changed. Viktor Frankl, his wife, and his family were forced from the lives they had built. They boarded crowded trains bound for an unknown destination. No one knew what awaited them. Days later, the train doors finally opened. They had arrived at a Nazi concentration camp. Within moments, families were torn apart. Husbands were separated from their wives, children from their parents. Many embraced one another for the last time, without realizing it would be their final goodbye. Frankl watched as everything he loved disappeared before his eyes. The life he had spent years building was gone in a matter of minutes. His suitcase was taken. His clothes were replaced with a worn prison uniform. His hair was shaved. His few remaining possessions were confiscated. Even the manuscript containing years of his life's work was lost. The respected psychiatrist from Vienna was no longer seen as a doctor, or a husband, or a son. He had become only another prisoner, stripped of his possessions, his identity, and almost every freedom he had ever known. What lay ahead was a daily struggle against hunger, exhaustion, bitter cold, and constant uncertainty. It was a place designed to strip away hope itself. Yet in the midst of that unimaginable darkness, Viktor Frankl would begin discovering a truth that no prison could ever imprison. Each new day began long before sunrise. The freezing air cut through their thin uniforms. Their bodies grew weaker with every passing week. Hunger became a constant companion. A small piece of bread, a bowl of watery soup, was often all they had to survive on. Every day brought endless hours of forced labor. They carried heavy stones, dug frozen ground, worked until their muscles could barely move. Exhaustion became a way of life. Many prisoners no longer dreamed of freedom. They dreamed only of one more meal, or one more night of uninterrupted sleep. As the weeks turned into months, Frankl witnessed something heartbreaking. Some prisoners slowly lost the will to live. Their eyes that once held hope became empty. Their spirits faded long before their bodies gave out. But Frankl also noticed something remarkable. Not everyone surrendered to despair. Some prisoners, despite the same hunger, the same freezing cold, and the same unbearable suffering, found the strength to rise each morning. Some thought of a loved one waiting for them. Others held on to unfinished dreams. Some simply refused to let suffering define who they were. Watching them, Frankl began asking himself another question. What gave these people the strength to endure? when everything around them seemed determined to break them. The answer would become the most important discovery of his life. Somewhere in the middle of that endless suffering, Viktor Frankl made a discovery that would change his life forever. He realized that although the prisoners had lost almost everything, one thing still remained beyond the reach of their captors: their attitude. No guard could decide what a man believed. No prison could imprison his thoughts. No suffering could force him to surrender his humanity. Then, during one bitter morning of forced labor, Frankl found himself thinking about his wife. He didn't know whether she was alive, or whether he would ever see her again. But as he remembered her smile, her voice, and the love they had shared, he experienced something extraordinary. He realized that love could exist, even when the person you loved was nowhere beside you. For a brief moment, the barbed wire disappeared. The freezing wind no longer mattered. His body remained inside the camp, but his mind and his love were completely free. It was then that Frankl understood something profound. Suffering itself was not what destroyed a person. Losing the reason to endure it was. From that moment on, he no longer searched only for a way to survive. He searched for meaning within the suffering itself. And that is where he discovered what he would later call the last of the human freedoms: the freedom to choose one's attitude, no matter the circumstances. As the months passed, Viktor Frankl began seeing that meaning could be found in places most people would never think to look. Sometimes, it was found in a purpose that still waited beyond the camp. He imagined himself standing before students one day, sharing everything he had learned about the human spirit. That vision reminded him that if he survived, his suffering would not be wasted. Other times, meaning came through love. Even though he had no idea whether his wife was still alive, the love he carried for her remained untouched. No fence could separate it. No prison could erase it. Her memory continued to give him strength when his body had almost none left. And then there were the moments when suffering itself became a choice. Not the suffering he endured, but the way he chose to endure it. Every morning, he could have surrendered to despair. Instead, he chose to meet each day with dignity. Each act of courage, each moment of compassion, each refusal to hate, became a quiet victory that no one could take away. Frankl realized that life never stopped asking the same question. Not, what do you expect from life? But, what does life expect from you? Even in the darkest place on earth, the answer could still be found. And once he understood that, no amount of suffering could take away the meaning of his life. In the spring of 1945, the gates of the concentration camp finally opened. After years of imprisonment, Viktor Frankl was free. But freedom did not feel the way he had imagined. The world outside had moved on, while his own world had been shattered. He returned to Vienna hoping to find the people he loved. Instead, he was met with heartbreaking news. His father was gone. His mother was gone. His brother was gone. And the wife whose memory had carried him through the darkest days had not survived. For a moment, the silence was almost unbearable. Everything he had endured, every dream of returning home, now seemed to rest upon memories alone. Many people would have allowed grief to define the rest of their lives. But Viktor Frankl made a different choice. He refused to let suffering have the final word. Instead, he transformed his pain into a purpose. He began writing about everything he had witnessed, everything he had learned, and everything the human spirit was still capable of becoming. He wanted the world to know that even in humanity's darkest hour, meaning could still be found. Page after page, he poured onto paper everything he had witnessed, everything he had endured, and everything he had discovered about the human spirit. Those pages would become one of the most influential books ever written. Man's search for meaning. But Frankl's message was never simply about surviving the Holocaust. It was about something far greater. He believed that the deepest human need is not pleasure, or power, or even success. It is meaning. This simple but profound idea became the foundation of what he later called logotherapy. Instead of asking, "What do I want from life?" Frankl encouraged people to ask, "What is life asking of me?" He believed that meaning can always be found, sometimes through the work we are called to do, sometimes through the people we choose to love, and sometimes through the courage with which we face suffering that cannot be changed. His message reached millions across the world, not because it promised an easy life, but because it proved that even in the darkest circumstances, hope can still exist, purpose can still be found, and the human spirit can remain free. Viktor Frankl showed the world that while we cannot always choose what happens to us, we can always choose who we become because of it. That is why man's search for meaning continues to inspire generation after generation, because its message is timeless. No matter how dark the night may seem, life is always asking something of us. And as long as we can answer that call with courage, meaning can always be found.